Hello and welcome to Disc Review, the podcast that goes track by track through a different album each week.
And we're your hosts, Max and Matt. Join us as we explore some of our favorite records.
No, I'm a fan, I swear.
I feel like I've become a music normie.
I'm tired of being Mr. Positive Guy.
Dude, that's not humor.
This is certifiably the most boring album I've ever heard.
And there's a reason they don't do it, because it's terrible.
We hope you enjoy the show. Let's get into it. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Disc Review, the show where we go track by track through a different album each week. And today has been a long-anticipated episode because today we're going to be reviewing the new Pierce the Veil album, The Jaws of Life. And we have a guest on here with us. His name is Jordan. Why don't you say hi, Jordan?
Hey, how we doing? My name's Jordan Balla. That's my name. Jordan Balla Music on YouTube. That's me. A little bit about me. I'm just a musician, played in bands, and I just love Pierce the Veil. So I reached out to these guys, and we're gonna do a nice little review of this album because I mean it's a great album. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, Jordan, what type of content do you usually make on your channel?
So my channel is kind of it's all kind of music and guitar based, but it's all based around like emo, rock, metal kind of stuff. And it's just me kind of making music, doing covers, all that kind of stuff, and just being a bit stupid, but with kind of emo, pop punk, rock music. That's it really.
Yeah, man, that's cool. That's I think we cover a lot of the same artists. We're trying to branch out, do some different artists lately. We keep being funneled back into Pierce the Veil because that seems to be the videos that get the most views for us. But we're talking about Pierce the Veil again today. We've covered all their other albums, so if you want to go back and listen to those, we'll link those in the description. I'll also link to Jordan's channel, so check that out. But Matt, what are you feeling about this record today? How are you feeling about us talking about it?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I was excited for this record, but I wasn't expecting the world. You know, they've taken so much time off. I didn't know, can they deliver? Is it going to be the same sound? Is it different? Obviously, it's not quite the same sound, but I was overall impressed and had a good time with it.
Yeah, Jordan, how did you feel about that long wait for this album?
Yeah, it's kind of the same for me, really. I mean, the big album for them that I absolutely loved was the Collide with the Sky album. And I wasn't too keen to the one after that, which was the Misadventures one. But Collide to the Sky for me was like my kind of like anthem album, like I listened to it like all the time. And then when they released the first single off this, after coming back after so long, I was like, oh yeah, this album is going to be good because it's got that kind of like, it's got that kind of vibe that Collide with the Sky kind of had in a way. That first single they released, which was that Past the Nirvana. And yeah, it just kind of had that vibe to it. So it kind of made me excited in a way just to listen to this new one. And yeah, I've kind of had it on repeat since it's come out for the past couple of weeks. And it definitely has that kind of vibe, that Collide with the Sky feel. But yeah, I'm excited to get into it with you guys.
Yeah, I'm a little worried to talk about this one mainly because spoilers, I don't like it that much.
Oh, really?
I think it's okay. I think I maybe hyped myself up a little too much. I've liked all their other records except for the first one, but we don't need to talk about that. I was just like, it's been like 6 years and I'm so excited to get some new Pierce the Veil stuff. And then it came out and I was just kind of underwhelmed, but I'll get into why that is as we go track by track. Matt, what do you think about this album cover?
I think it's all right. It's just kind of like edgy looking. Just a high-res picture of an object. I mean, I've seen that done before.
Yeah, but it's the Jaws. It's the Jaws of life, right? That's what the picture
Yeah.
is.
Very apt. Yes.
And like a fireman like cuts people out of cars, isn't it that?
Yeah, I think that is what it's for. Are we going to talk about Pierce the Veil's obsession with talking about car crashes today?
I mean, they did talk about it. I don't know if they talked about it a ton though on this record. It's just the album art, really.
Yeah, I mean, all their other albums, there's so many references to car crashes. And when I heard this one was going to be called The Jaws of Life, I was like, man, Vic cannot let that car crash metaphor go.
Yeah.
He loves it.
Gotcha.
But I think the one thing I don't like about this album cover is that it's like on the carpet. Like they just took the picture like it was just in somebody's house and they just
I feel
set
that.
it on the ground and took a
Yeah.
picture with their iPhone. Like that's kind of the vibe I get. But
Yeah, compared to some of their other ones where it's like art that took a lot of effort. Yeah, it doesn't
Yeah.
feel as they put as much in, right?
Yeah, because when you look at that Collide with the Sky album, like I guess it's kind of the time of like the time it was. Like a lot of bands, similar bands, were doing that kind of like super illustrated artwork. When you look at
Yeah.
like A Day to Remember, that kind of vibe as well. It was all about the artwork. But then I guess with CDs and albums not existing as much anymore in the past 10 years, it was like we'll just take a photo and we'll just put it up.
Jumping into the track by track. Well, let's get started with the first track, which is Death of an Executioner. This is the first song on the album here, and I think that it does a good job at raising the energy, getting the listener pumped for the album. This song kind of reminds me of the opener from their last album. The opener was Dive In.
Yeah.
Just got a similar feel. I also kind of got the feeling that the bridge of this song was meant to be almost like a Bulls in the Bronx part 2 with the clapping and the maracas. Yeah, what do you think, Matt?
Yeah, I think if you wanted like classic Pierce the Veil sound, this is one of the best tracks on this record to go for. I don't know, it just reminds me a lot of some Selfless Machines in there, just the way they do the guitar and stuff. But yeah, it's a solid opener. I mean, I think it's catchy enough and brings some energy.
Yeah, totally. I agree. It's like the kind of because it's it's the starting track of it. It's kind of like it brings you into the Pierce the Veil that you once knew from like however many years ago before they kind of went on their hiatus, and now it's like yeah, this is what I remember Pierce the Veil to sound like and to feel like. And yeah, you said it with the kind of the clapping, like that kind of Latin American feel in the bridge. It's cool though. I think it's one of my favorite songs on this album. It's got like a lot of energy to it, and yeah, it just feels good,
And then we have Past the Nirvana. This was the first single released for this album, and when I heard it, I thought that if the rest of the album is like this song, then this album is gonna be crazy. And turns out the rest of the album is not like this
It's
song.
kind of a one-off. I don't
Yeah,
know
I,
how I feel about releasing this one first because it's not very indicative of the rest of the record. I think they knew they needed to make a song like this and they just made one.
Yeah, I don't really understand why they used it as a single other than to blue balls me, I guess.
It did a good job tricking everybody, right? That it's this heavy
Yeah.
screamo album. This is really the only one that features screaming prominently.
I guess yeah, that's the thing that interests me about this album is like if you look at the previous albums, there's quite a lot of screaming in a lot of it. It's kind of what Vic was kind of like known for in a way, and like there's barely any of that in this album, and this is one track where there's quite a lot.
Right.
But it's again the song feels good, and I think it feels like that older Pierce the Veil stuff, and I think that's why it's kind of maybe the lead single off the whole album. It gets people in a way, it worked for you guys, right? It got you guys pumped about the album. It's like, oh cool, here we go again, back to some more Pierce the Veil like it was in the old days.
And then we have Even When I'm Not With You. I really think that a big goal of this album was to find Pierce the Veil a new audience. I've seen a lot of people talk about this song in particular who were like, I'd never even liked Pierce the Veil, and then this song came out, and I think it's great. And so I think that it just kind of spoke to a lot of different people with different musical backgrounds. It's probably one of my favorites on the record. I really like the lyrics, and I find the instrumental to be catchy, even though it's pretty simple.
Yeah, it is simple, but it's catchy, right? Like,
Yeah.
I get why it would get new fans, and I'm all for some more unique tracks on the record. I don't want every song to be past Nirvana, right? That's boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's the thing with I kind of noticed with Pierce the Veil anyway is that kind of Vic Fuentes is a really good songwriter, just in general, and I feel like this is him doing something different and being like, I can do more than just kind of the emo pop punk vibe kind of stuff. It's like I've got more things to show you guys. Like, so this is it in a way. And it's still got that kind of emo vibe to it. And I think it's one of those songs that could be like in a way, kind of like an emo like anthem, you know, one of those ones. If you went to like an emo like nightclub, you know, like they do those like Black Parade, 100% this would be on at like the end of the night, you know.
Yeah, I think that one thing about being a musician is like you kind of start off making the songs that you like, and as you grow older, I think a lot of artists get to the point where like, well, I don't even really like this anymore, but I'm still making it because that's kind of what my thing is. Yeah. And then a lot of artists will have kind of like a rebranding of sorts. And I think that's kind of what I felt like in this album is they kind of were like, you know, we like some of the stuff we did in the past, but we're kind of going in this direction now. And some people are going to love it. Some people are not going to love it. But I think that's the only way to make honest art is to do stuff like that.
Yeah, no, totally. I agree.
All right, the next one is Emergency Contact. This song definitely had to grow on me a little bit. I think when it first came out, it didn't really connect with me all that much. And I kind of just immediately forgot about it, but I eventually revisited it, and I think it's another one of my favorites here. The lyrics are really good. I know we've joked about in the past about Pierce the Veil's lyrics kind of sounding like nonsense sometimes, and like possibly having no real meaning at all other than just to sound cool. But this song, I think the lyrics really hit home for me. This is a good one.
Yeah, this record was better for that. I think there was still that kind of strange lyrics, but I think it wasn't all over the place like some of the other records, at least. But yeah, this one's, I think it's all right. I think I like how unique sounds. I think they just kept trying different sounds, and but it still felt cohesive enough. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I agree when you're saying it kind of it took a while to grow on me. It definitely did that for me as well. And it really reminds me of do you guys know the band Feeder? Have you ever listened to Feeder?
No,
I don't think so.
There's a band called Feeder, and they have a song called Buck Rogers, right? And literally they sound almost identical. They have like a similar vibe, a similar kind of like lyric to them, and a similar kind of melody. Once we're done here, go check out Buck Rogers by Feeder, and you'll see what I mean. It's quite an old song. It's from like the early 2000s. But apart from that, like I think it's a really well written song, and yeah, the lyrics are great in it. And it's just, again, I mean, I've said it for the last three, but it's got a good vibe, and that's what it's all about.
It's a very vibey album.
Yeah, totally.
I think that's definitely what they were going for, was just a feel, like a mood that they can capture on this. The next song is Flawless Execution. This song has a really subtle vocal effect on Vic's voice that I think is really fun. Back in the Selfish Machine era, they did that one song with the heavy auto-tune effect on Vic's voice, and I think they got mixed responses. You know, some people loved it, and some people thought it was weird. I am a huge fan of like vocal production and auto-tune effects and stuff. I think they're all so fun, and they just put a tiny touch of it on his voice in this song. It's barely even noticeable. It's just like when he hits some notes, it's like that note was barely human the way he sung that, but it's really cool, and I'm here for it.
I think he sounds great on this one. This is one of his best vocal tracks for me on this album.
Yeah, I think the way they did it was just flawless.
That's why it's called Flawless Execution.
Yep.
That's why. But no, yeah, it's for me, I think this one, just kind of like song wise, is one of my least favorite ones on the album. But I like the instrumental behind it. Like just what they've done with the music. It's a completely different way that they would do everything else. You know, it's kind of got like a lo-fi kind of vibe, and I like that. It's cool.
Yeah, a lot of the album has that feel, but I think the vocal melodies carry it. It's catchy. I think it makes it one of my favorites.
I like it at the end where it kind of like it kind of goes up a notch. Like there's like a big kind of just after the bridge, there's kind of like a harmonic thing on the guitar, and then it just like it kind of takes it to another level. I think that's really cool.
And then we have The Jaws of Life, which obviously the album gets its name from. I have to be honest here. I don't really like this song. I don't think the lyrics are all that good, and the instrumental is just kind of boring by Pierce the Veil's standards.
I think it was middle of the road.
I think my biggest problem with it is that the phrase "the jaws of life" is just not a very catchy hook, and they repeat it a bunch. So it's like all I remember.
The thing that stands out for me in this one is that kind of the guitar riff in the chorus. The like da 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 da. That's just so cool for like a chorus. When have you ever heard a chorus ever do that? Like for me, that was like, oh, that's like, it's something different that I've not really heard many bands ever try to do. To have like a full riff as well as a melody on top of that, and not only in a verse but in a chorus is like, it's just cool. Like who else has kind of done that kind of thing? I really enjoy this one. This is actually one of my favorite ones on this album, mainly for that. But to be honest, anything that's got a cool guitar in, I'm just like, I'm sold. I'm just like, yeah, that's cool. I don't care about anything else. I'm just like, it's got a cool guitar. We're going. That's good. That's good for me.
Yeah, that's definitely fair. I think that one thing that kind of bummed me out when I listened to this album for the first time was just the lack of like crazy guitar that they used to do a lot, like in
That's true.
The Boy Who Could Fly. Like that was the stuff that I thought was so interesting about this band, was just how insane their guitar work was with, you know, super high energy vocals. And this is just like, it's different, you know, it's not bad. It's just way different from
the
that.
guitar
And
is
I
a
think
lot
that's
more chill. It's not as crazy.
That's just, I think that's where my expectations got kind of like cut in half as soon as I started listening to it. But like I said, it doesn't make it bad. It just makes it really different from what they used to do.
Yeah, I think a lot of it though is quite, it's kind of like tasteful in a way. I find a lot of the hooks on the guitar and vocals and stuff, it's like, yeah, it's tasteful instead of, you know, you might expect it to be a certain way, like, you know, if it's emo or pop punk or whatever, you're like, oh, I know how this is going to play out because I've heard it 1,000 times by like 1,000 other bands. And I think with all of Pierce the Veil stuff, they always go against your expectations, and it's like, oh, this is actually a really cool guitar line, or this is a really cool melody that I wouldn't have expected from a emo or pop punk band. And I think this song kind of shows that in a way. I can understand why you guys might not be too into it, but I like it. For me personally, I think it's cool.
Now we have Damn the Man, Save the Empire. Do either of you know what that quote at the beginning of the song was? It sounded like audio from a movie set.
I think they did that like multiple times. There's another one. That has
Yeah, there's
some
a
audio like
couple.
that, but I don't
Let's have
know.
a look.
Yeah.
I'm gonna Google it right now.
Okay. I think this song suffers from a lot of the same problems that the last song does. I just didn't care for the lyrics all that much. One of the lines goes, maybe when we're old or dead, we can all hang out, but probably not. I don't know. It just feels like they're trying to appeal to their edgy 13-year-old fan base. And I can't find myself a part of it anymore, I guess.
This one wasn't my favorite either. I get it. I honestly, I think the chorus was kind of weak. The verses were catchy, but I don't know. It's one of my least favorite choruses.
Apparently, it's from the film Dazed and Confused, 1993.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
I don't even know what film that is.
I assumed it was going to be, what's that that movie that Vic loves to death?
Quoted like Wayne's World or something for On Cloud the Sky.
That's what I assumed it was Wayne's World.
Yeah, no, it's definitely not Wayne's World. Yeah, no, what should I call it? Dazed and Confused. Apparently it's got Matthew McConaughey in it. Ben Affleck. I've never seen this film.
Yeah, I've never even heard of it.
Yeah. Well, maybe it's worth checking out.
I mean, yeah, if it makes the cut for the record, then it must be good.
Yeah, you think so, wouldn't you? It kind of, this one's got for me, kind of got like a kind of grungy vibe to it. The way the kind of, the bass is like the main kind of like hook for a lot of the song, that like really distorted bass line that goes through it. And I guess it gives you that kind of like 90s aesthetic in a way, which I guess maybe where that quote comes from. But yeah, that's all I have to say.
Well, speaking of bass, this album has, you know, it's a lot more bass featuring than some of the last albums. And I'm just wondering, how come Paul Meany got a shout out, but Jaime didn't? And Tony got a shout out the last record. So
Where's
the
the
bass
Jaime
player just
shout-out?
doesn't get a
Come on.
justice for Jaime, bro. The next song is Resilience. This song has one of the most interesting instrumentals on the album for me. I love the simple acoustic guitar. The chorus is kind of whatever for me. It doesn't really excite me all that much, but it's not awful. I'd probably come back to this song a little more than some of the others on this latter half of the record. What I was finding as I was going through the second half of this album was that just wasn't a ton of variety. I think there's like 3 or 4 songs like in a row where I was like, man, I just don't. I'd be like, wait, what song is this again?
Yeah.
And that might just be I don't have a lot of experience with the album yet. I know the other albums a lot more than I do this one.
So what's been happening with me with this album is like I'll listen to it and I'll just play it from the start to the end, and I'll get to around about this point, and I think the album's over. I don't know why. I just like, oh, that must be it. But then there's like 4 more tracks or 3 more tracks, and I'm like, oh, okay, I've got more. It's weird that it feels like this one, Resilience, should kind of be like the outro track. It should kind of be like the last one on the album. But it's good. It's good though. It's, again, like you said, it's got that kind of that lo-fi kind of vibe to it, and the acoustic is nice, feels nice, sounds nice.
Yeah, I like this one. This is one of my favorites, just for that chorus, and I don't know, it's just an interesting sound.
That last chorus, just after the bridge, where it like proper builds, it for me personally, it just gives me like super nostalgia. Like it makes me feel like I'm like 15 again. I'm like, oh man, those were the days. Back listening to Pierce the Veil, that first album. Whew, even though you said you didn't like the first album at the beginning, I love it. I love it. Take you back.
I loved it when I was 15 for sure.
Yeah, totally.
All right, so the next song is an interlude. It's called Irrational Fears. Not much to say here. The song is only 21 seconds and just has audio from the inside of an airplane. The only thing that kind of blows my mind is that stream count.
At 1,000?
1,000 streams. I mean, that can't be right? That has to be.
I'm starting to think it's not right, because that happens a lot. But I don't know. Maybe that's just how people listen to music. Or maybe a lot of people are getting like recommended songs, and they're not going to. Spotify's not going to recommend an interlude.
Yeah, and also, I guess if people are skipping it, like when they're listening to the album, I don't listen to it. Yeah, if you get past to like, I don't know, I think if it doesn't go past like 10 seconds, it doesn't count as a play. I don't know.
Oh, that is true.
I'm just wondering though, like everyone would have to be skipping it for it to only be 1,000.
I think you have to listen to the whole thing for it to count as a stream.
Yeah,
that's why.
I mean, the amount of times I've listened to the album, like 90% of that is me. Like those plays are definitely just me, because I haven't skipped it.
Well, that's good of you. I mean, someone's got to help these guys out. They got to get their bread up, bro. That Hot Topic merch can't last forever if they only got 1,000 streams on a song.
They gotta earn that 0.004 pence of a stream.
Yeah, that's true. All right. Now we got Shared Trauma. Shared Trauma has one of the catchiest choruses on the record to me. It's also very emotional, the way it's sung, very somberly and kind of defeated. I think this song is pretty cool just for the way that Pierce the Veil took a creative risk with it and did something totally
It's very
unique.
different. I like it a lot. I like the melancholy feel, the kind of somber mood. I like it.
Do you guys listen to Post Malone a lot?
I've listened a couple of his records I really like. I don't know all his stuff, though.
Does this not remind you of like a Post Malone song? Like if Post Malone released this, I'd be like, yeah, sweet. Like this is great. Do you know what I mean?
See it?
Like,
yeah, I think he's just so influential right now. Like, how could you not hear his stuff in almost everything that comes out?
Yeah, and I guess a lot of Post Malone stuff is quite emo anyway, so it's got that vibe. But
Bro, I don't know if you know this, but Post Malone tried out for the position of guitar player for Crown the Empire.
Yeah, I knew about that. That's crazy. Have you seen? We kind of got a bit off topic, but recently he did a gig where he was singing one of his songs and he just went like full screamo, and he just like.
I think I saw that video.
It's crazy. He's good, man. He's good. Post Malone, if you're listening,
Yeah.
because he might be. It might be. You never know. Post Malone, if you're listening, start a metal band. That's all I'm saying.
And then we have second to last song, So Far So Fake. This one is one of those songs that I would imagine would go all the way and give us a glimpse of what Pierce Avell used to sound like. It definitely sounds a lot like Misadventures. But towards the end of the song, there's this part that like really builds up and up and up. And it made me think that they're going to go for this big finish where they go like really heavy with it like they used to. But then it just kind of fades out without giving any resolution. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being too nitpicky
Really?
with it, but
I feel like it hit the energy I wanted to after that. I don't know. I like this one. It was probably my favorite high energy track. I thought it was really catchy and it did nail that energy of like older Pierce Avell in a way. That's just like modern sounding, and I don't know. This was one of the best for me.
It reminds me a lot of the one they did with All Time Low. What's it called?
oh, Love Like
It was
War.
like war, whatever.
Yeah. It reminds me a lot of that. It's got that kind of same energy in a way, and the kind of guitar sounds similar as well, like the parts. But that's a good song. This is a good song. They're both great. I mean, the bridge, the energy in that bridge bit with the kind of like open, kind of, I don't know how to explain it. The open kind of like guitar riff, which goes throughout like the kind of the stabs and stuff. It's like a dum dum dum, and then there's like the guitar part like diddle 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 diddle. Do you know what I mean? if you listen to the song, you know what I mean. That bit, so sick, so cool. But like I said, I'm a sucker for guitar stuff. So
All right. Well, the last song on the record is 12 Fractures. I really like this ending. It's another song where they took a creative leap, did
It's so
something
different.
that's different. Yeah. I don't know who Chloe Moriando is. She did a fine job. Nothing that special. I kind of liked Vic's parts better, but other than that, I thought it was a pretty cool song.
It's so unique. I did not expect a track like this. I was like, am I listening to the right album right now when this came on? Like, this did not sound right, but I love it. I think it's my favorite track. It's just so catchy and so different.
yeah, it's nice to see that they're kind of branching out and doing more with other artists like Chloe Moriando, because like you said you didn't know who she was, but I've been listening to her for quite a bit. She's kind of got that like that kind of new like Travis Barker vibe to it. Do you know what I mean?
Okay.
It's that kind of like style, or like Maggie Lindemann. You ever listen to Maggie Lindemann?
A little bit.
Just kind of that vibe, a little bit less like grungy, a little bit more poppy. One of her songs I would recommend checking out is called Girl on TV. That's a really cool song. To be fair, that whole album that she's got, it's called Blood Bunny. That whole album's really cool. And it's got that kind of like, almost like Olivia Rodrigo vibe, but also crossed with Maggie Lindemann, and then like a little bit of like Travis Barker-esque style stuff. It's cool. Yeah, she's a cool artist. And it's nice to see that the Pierce Avell are working with artists like that and kind of like, putting themselves out into that space, because I feel like their audiences probably do cross over quite a bit, because like I said, kind of Chloe Moriando's kind of got that like emo pop vibe, so it totally fits in. And I guess the whole TikTok thing where they blew up with King for a Day, it fits in a way. But the song itself, I like it. I had to listen to it quite a lot to get into it. But overall, it's a nice ending track to the whole album. To be honest, I probably would have preferred that Resilience as an ending track, but that's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I think I definitely liked it as a closer, but there was a few I'd say that would have worked fine for a closer, because it was a lot of heavy emotions on a few of them that I think would have worked great to cap it off. I do like that they chose this one though, and I'm glad you were here to defend Chloe and tell everyone what music to check out of hers. So Matt, now that we've talked about this album all the way through, what are your thoughts and feelings about it?
To me, with that long of a hiatus, Pierceville, as we knew it, was kind of like over to me. So getting any music at all, and yes, it wasn't exactly the same as what we expected, but I liked it. I liked the growth. I was fine with whatever, and honestly, it was better than I thought it would be.
If you had to rank the albums, right? So you got to rank the albums. Where would this fit in a ranking for you guys?
Probably somewhere in the middle.
Yeah.
I mean, it's better than their first album, and could probably go toe to toe with Selfish Machines. But I mean, I think Collide with the Sky is always going to stand, as their most iconic record, and there's no doubt.
Yeah, I don't know. It definitely, I think, has the best like sound production on it. Like, it sounds very clean, very polished.
It does.
But I really just like Selfish Machines all the way through Misadventures is like kind of just classic era for me. So I don't think anything could top that at this point.
For me, honestly, I think my top one is Collide with the Sky, and then it's Selfish Machines, and then it's this, and then it's Misadventures, and then the first one.
I see that.
Yeah. I wasn't too into Misadventures when it came out. I don't know why. It's just something about it. I was just a bit like, it's no Collide with the Sky. It's no Collide with the Sky. But
yeah, we really liked Misadventures. I think that a lot of people kind of felt like, oh, this isn't Collide with the Sky, so it's not gonna be as good. But I don't know. We digged it. We were also 16 when that came out, so like prime.
It came out at a good
age
time.
For
yeah. See, for me, when Collide with the Sky came out, I was 16.
Okay.
I was like, yeah, this is it. Like, this is it. Where would you? All right, Jaws for Life. Out of 10, what are you gonna give it?
Ooh, I don't know. To be honest, we stopped giving album scores because it felt so subjective. I was like, how can I give a number?
Depending
to this?
on the day, depending on what
Yeah.
song I was listening to last. I don't know. It's solid for me. It's like
I'd give it a solid 7.
Yeah, I
I'd say
think
it's
so.
better than
I
the
think I
average
agree.
album. It just didn't blow me away.
yeah.
Yeah. I'd agree with that. I'd go 7.5, maybe 7.5. But yeah, I agree.
Well, Jordan, dude, thank you for joining us on this episode.
Yeah, thank you.
Glad we got to get a little variety, a new outside perspective, and I had a lot of fun talking with you.
Collabs are fun.
Yeah, honestly, guys, thank you so much for having me. And hopefully we can do some more in the future if you ever want me. And if you want to come over to my YouTube channel, you can do. We can do some stuff over there, and we can talk some music.
Let's do it.
Talk all about guitars, all about music, rock, metal, whatever you want to do. I'm all about it. So yeah, honestly, thank you so much for having me. And it's been great. It's been a lot of fun just talking all about the Jaws of Life by Pierceville.
Yeah, man. All right. Thank you for everyone who listened to this. You can subscribe to our channel, subscribe to Jordan's channel, and we'll put lots of cool links for music and other videos in the description. So check that out, and we'll see you later. Bye.